Supertankers carry 80% of China's oil through the narrow 2.8-kilometer Strait of Malacca. If blocked, China's energy lifeline is cut. Oil from the Persian Gulf takes 3 weeks to reach China via Malacca. The Myanmar pipeline cuts the journey by 3,000 kilometers and bypasses the strait. Every day, 80,000 vessels pass through this strait. For China, each one is a potential vulnerability in its energy supply. In 2004, Chinese planners circled the Strait of Malacca in red. That single decision started a $7 billion project to end their dependence. Myanmar is the only country giving China a direct overland route from the Indian Ocean. It cuts delivery time from 3 weeks to under 2. This small island in the Bay of Bengal is where the pipeline to Kunming begins. Over 1,000 kilometers of steel start here. A fully loaded VLCC arrives at Kyaukphyu terminal. 2 million barrels of crude are about to enter the pipeline to China. 5 kilometers of pipeline lie on the Bay of Bengal seabed. Oil flows silently beneath the waves toward Myanmar's coast. In 2009, Chinese and Myanmar officials broke ground on Made Island. The $7 billion project that changed China's energy map had begun. Inside shingly steel, pipe sections are formed, welded and coated yellow. Over 100,000 sections were made here for the Myanmar pipeline. Thousands of yellow pipe sections were loaded onto ships in Chinese ports. Enough steel to stretch from Beijing to London left for Myanmar. Survey teams walked through dense Rakhine jungle with machetes and GPS. Every kilometer of the route was measured on foot. The pipeline crosses mountains, the Irrawaddy River and the 1,200-meter Shan Plateau. 793 kilometers through Myanmar alone. A 30-meter corridor was cleared through primary jungle. 40-meter trees fell as bulldozers pushed the forest aside for the first time. Excavators dug a precise 2-meter trench through red laterite soil. The pipeline would be buried 1.8 meters underground across Myanmar. Welders joined pipe sections inside shade tents under tropical heat. Every joint was preheated, welded, and inspected before burial. At night, X-ray teams verified every weld with iridium sources. Only perfect joints were approved for the live pipeline. The 800-meter-wide Irrawaddy was crossed by horizontal drilling. The pipe runs 20 meters beneath the riverbed without touching it. The HDD bore passed safely under the Irrawaddy. Both oil and gas pipelines now cross Myanmar's greatest river underground. On the Shan Plateau at 1,200 meters, excavators worked steep slopes. Winches hauled pipe uphill in thin mountain air. Three pump stations were built on the Shan Plateau. They provide the power to push oil over the highlands into China. Villagers watched construction from outside the fence. Some gained roads and electricity, others lost land. The human cost was real. 20-kilometer sections were pressure-tested at 150 bar for 24 hours. Zero pressure drop meant every weld was certified tight. The SHWE gas platform sends 35 million cubic meters daily into the pipeline. The same corridor carries both oil and gas to China. China built 4 overland corridors from Russia, Central Asia, Kazakhstan, and Myanmar. Malacca dependence fell from 80 to 65%. At Kunming, the Yunnan refinery rose from the hills. It now processes every barrel arriving through the Myanmar pipeline. At the Ruili border, the pipeline crosses the Shweli River on a steel bridge. The physical link between Myanmar and China is complete. Inside Kunming Control Center, operators monitor 1,200 kilometers in real time. Flow, pressure, and temperature update every second. An intelligent pig travels the full pipeline every few weeks. Ultrasonic sensors map every centimeter of pipe wall for corrosion. Even during Myanmar's 2021 crisis, the pipeline kept flowing. Security increased, but 280,000 barrels moved daily without interruption. The Kyaukphyu Special Economic Zone is rising beside the terminal. China is building a full commercial port on the Indian Ocean. In Mandalay, gas from the pipeline now powers local homes. Families study under electric light instead of candles for the first time. Every 2 kilometers, cathodic protection readings confirm the buried pipe is safe from corrosion. Invisible current protects 1,200 kilometers of steel. Remote satellite stations in the Shan Plateau monitor pressure and leaks. Kunming knows of any problem within 90 seconds. An intelligent inspection pig is launched into the live pipeline. It scans the entire line for 7 days before being received. After the 2021 coup, joint patrols increased along sensitive sections. The pipeline continued flowing at normal rates. The new deepwater port at Kyaukphyu will handle millions of containers yearly. China gains its first major Indian Ocean commercial hub. Gas offtake stations supply local power plants. Townships that once had load shedding now have steady electricity from the pipeline. Motorcycle inspectors patrol the right-of-way daily. They check for leaks, damage, or unauthorized digging along the entire route. The pipeline is the first part of the China-Myanmar economic corridor. Port, railway, and highway will follow the same path. Chinese welders train Myanmar apprentices in pipe welding. Skills cross language barriers through the language of a perfect weld. During monsoon floods, the surface may be underwater. 1.8 meters underground, the pipeline flows unaffected. 3,000 Chinese workers lived in jungle camps for years. They built one of China's most strategic energy assets far from home. When a landslide exposed pipe on the Shan Plateau, engineers reburied it before the next debris flow. The line stayed intact. Transit fee talks delayed oil flow for 2 years after construction finished. The pipeline stood ready but could not move oil until agreement was reached. At Ras Tanura, VLCC slowed Saudi crude that will reach Kunming via Myanmar. The journey bypasses Malacca completely. From the Persian Gulf to Kunming via Myanmar takes 22 days. That is 8 days faster than the traditional Malacca route. Environmental teams test river water at every crossing. No hydrocarbons are detected. The pipeline leaves the surface ecosystem unchanged. Night patrols with thermal imagers protect sensitive Shan sections. The oil continues flowing beneath the dark hills. Designed for 440,000 barrels daily, the pipeline often runs at 65%. Its real value is the option to bypass Malacca when needed. Malacca still carries over 80% of China's oil. The Myanmar pipeline carries about 6%. It reduces but does not eliminate the vulnerability. A new 4-lane highway is being built parallel to the pipeline through the Shan Highlands. The economic corridor is expanding. Massive caissons are sunk at Kyaukphyu to build a deep-water port. China is creating permanent commercial access to the Indian Ocean. After 5 years, the pipeline had delivered 50 million tons of crude. The refinery continues processing every barrel that arrives. In 20 years, China moved from total Malacca dependence to 4 overland corridors. The Myanmar route reaches the Indian Ocean directly. Planners now design the Kyaukphyu-Kunming Railway. It will include long tunnels under the Shan Plateau and follow the pipeline's path. Yellow marker posts every 200 meters warn in 3 languages. The 5-meter exclusion zone is maintained across 1,200 kilometers. At the jetty, the loading arm moves with the ship's swell. 41,000 barrels per hour flow into the pipeline. Control valves on the Shan Plateau automatically adjust pressure. Small bursts of air keep the oil moving steadily uphill and down. Diesel refined from Myanmar pipeline crude is loaded into trucks at Kunming. By evening, it fuels vehicles in neighboring provinces.
The Myanmar corridor is unique among all side corridors alone that provides direct physical access to the Indian Ocean, Southern China's, or any politically contested waters. Gwadar gives us the Caribbean Sea.
Guiyang, Myanmar gas is reduced to city pressure. 5 million people now use gas that traveled through the pipeline. From the air, the corridor appears as a straight scar through forest. Revegetation continues, but the permanent right-of-way remains visible. Economists calculate the pipeline delivers oil cheaper than the Malacca route. Its strategic insurance value is even greater. The engineer who built the Shan section remembers the real difficulty was remoteness. Nearest medical help was 4 hours away. From 600 meters, the corridor cuts straight through rice fields and villages. It passes close to homes, yet stays invisible underground. Engineers study upgrading the first pump station to increase capacity. Suction piping limits may require parallel lines. Analysts in Beijing track every foreign reaction to Kyaukphyu. The pipeline's value includes the diplomatic leverage it creates. At Pump Station 2, the logbook records every reading. The 18 o'clock entry confirms all pumps running normally with no alarms. At night, the terminal glows under floodlights. The VLCC discharges while the next tanker waits. The pipeline never stops. Students compare the Panama Canal and this pipeline. Both change strategic geography. One serves the world, this one serves China's options. Planners map the pipeline against China's 2060 carbon target. Most capital recovers by 2038, yet the strategic hedge may last longer. VLCCs routing to Kyaukphyu avoid the Somali piracy zone. The Myanmar option removes both Malacca and piracy risk. In the dispatch room, refined products flow to 5 provinces. Diesel from Myanmar crude heads to Guizhou while new crude arrives. In a Yunnan gorge, crews check actuators and fences. The local liaison reads instruments in careful Mandarin learned for the job. The control room marks 3,000 incident-free days. Operators continue watching 285,000 barrels flow. The pipeline does not pause. Risk analysts raise the political instability score. Enhanced patrols are ordered for sensitive Shan sections. Internal maps mark Kyaukphyu as China's only direct Indian Ocean energy node. India has no equivalent access in Myanmar. The 2025 map shows 4 land corridors plus Malacca. Malacca's share has fallen to 65%. China is no longer dependent on one route. Terminal operator on Kyaukphyu logs tank levels at his screen. He has worked here 6 years. The pipeline's daily rhythm is his watch. Late at night, an analyst adds one line. Recent naval exercises increase the value of overland routes. He reads what he has written. The empty VLCC turns away from the jetty. Its 2 million barrels are now inside the pipeline heading to Kunming. The next tanker approaches. From the Shan Plateau hillside, 340 kilometers of corridor stretch toward China. There is no sound or movement, only grass and the knowledge that oil flows beneath. Total length 1,200 kilometers, Myanmar section 793 km, capacity 440,000 barrels per day, current use 65%, oil delivered, over 100 million tons. From 1,200 meters you see the island, terminal, and tanker. The pipeline disappears inland. You cannot see the next 1,200 kilometers, but it is there, the largest invisible thing in this country.